Okay, awesome. So, Mr. Jordan DeRosa, thank you for joining us here on the BrandRocket Small Business Podcast.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. So, this is going to be the first of our series, and my name's Jake, and I'm the founder and president of a company called BrandRocket. And essentially, what we're looking to do here is really just interview our clients, interview business owners, interview people who are entrepreneurs in their own way, side hustles, things like that, and really get their take on starting a business, running a business, and things that they've just been through to get to where they are today. So essentially, yeah, man, why don't you kick things off? Tell us a little bit about Rosa Construction, what you guys do, and go from there.
We started this company in 2013, so I guess we're coming on 11 years now.
Nice.
Started off a little small, doing things on the side here, there, and then finally kicked it off full force about 4 years ago.
Okay.
So we got that going, moved everything inside. So we wanted to do interior renos and then we wanted to kind of progress and, do better for ourselves and kind of show what we're all about.
Nice.
So getting all that stuff in, getting the home rentals on board, bathrooms, kitchens, moved into additions, custom builds, all that stuff. And, things just take off. But like you say, entrepreneurship is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people think it's easy. So it's a big eye opener when you get into it full time.
Yeah, man. And I find the biggest thing too is it doesn't really matter what kind of business you're in, right? Like if you're in a construction business or you're in a marketing business or you're a barbershop owner or you're a chiropractor or any of this stuff. Anybody that I've talked to that is a business owner in some way, shape, or form ends up going through stuff that we've talked about on a day-to-day, right? And the biggest challenges I think that a lot of people have just end up being stuff that you don't really realize until you go through them yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? And for me, starting my business about 4 years ago as well, going full-time, the biggest thing was just learning as you go to try to figure it out, right?
Learning from your mistakes. Right? There's no such thing as failures if you're going to learn from them.
Exactly. And you're constantly going to lose as a business owner. And I think learning how to have that adversity type of thing is really what separates people from starting businesses and finishing businesses.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in your business, right, and stuff that you guys have done, what was some of those initial steps that you guys took that you were like, crap, we didn't think about this, or like, we didn't even have an idea about maybe what we should look at this project or something like that?
It all starts with
through
thorough quoting, right?
Okay.
You want to make sure you nail the questions when you're there. You want to make sure you're getting what the homeowner wants, because when you show back up to present your quote, you don't want to be missing half the stuff they wanted.
Okay.
Right? When we walk into a project, we always ask budget. Now, a lot of contractors will ask budget because they want to maximize that budget.
Yeah.
I want to ask budget so that when I'm working the numbers, if I'm close to the budget, we can talk things through. What can we take away? What can we not do? How can we make this work within your budget? So there's a lot of different ways you can run a quote. And like we were just talking about, material prices have gone through the roof. So when you get into the materials, the time, the labor, all that stuff, everything just kind of jumps, right? You're throwing these things into a software. You're watching these numbers climb.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're within the budget. If someone has a $100,000 budget, there's no point in going to them with a $250,000 quote.
Exactly.
Right? So if I know it's 100,000 at this point, I have enough experience that I can kind of tell you that's not going to work, right? So we can talk about it when I'm there. I can see a basement and tell you it's going to be 100,000, or I can tell you it's going to be 200,000. Depends what you want. We have a lot of people that want a lot of custom stuff too.
Okay.
Right. So when you get into the custom field, that's just more time, more money, right? Showers, like we don't do them the way we used to.
Okay.
Because we've learned a lot of things along the way.
Sure.
So now that we're Schluter certified, we can all waterproof showers fully, right? So that comes with a price, but it also comes with an insurance policy for the homeowner to know that you never have to worry about water leaks again.
Okay. And is that like a lifetime thing once they get that system put in, or is that just for a certain amount of years?
Well, it's a 15-year warranty on the product. And if there is any issues, Schluter will come out, they'll send a rep out, and they will diagnose the problem, and they will see kind of what's the issue. If it's an installer issue, then obviously that's on us, which we haven't had. If it's a Schluter issue, then they will cover it, which we also haven't had. But the product's such a good product that for anyone to offer a 15-year warranty, would you buy a car with a 15-year warranty?
Yeah.
Absolutely you would. But you can't.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing because they know it's going to break. They build them to break.
Yeah.
So when we do construction, we build things to last.
Yeah.
We don't build them to break, because I don't want to come back and do the same job twice at your home.
Yeah.
I want to do such a good job the first time that you're going to call me back to do the next thing.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And especially in your industry as well. Again, we were just talking about this, where there is such a divide amongst contractors. There are guys that will do it the cheap and easy way, that aren't up to code, aren't done properly, foundations aren't laid, and really doing a shitty job just to get the customer sort of a cheap price and for them to get that job, right?
I see it all the time.
And then there's guys like you who are really going to go the extra mile, be able to offer something like a 15-year warranty on that by the way you guys have your system. And of course, the price is going to be different, right?
Yep.
And I hear this from a lot of other clients I have too, and you probably got similar stories as well. But how many times have you been called into a project where another contractor was there, they started a project, and then all of a sudden they had to stop the work, or the contractor stopped showing up, or whatever the case was, and they had to call you guys in. And when you went in, you noticed how many mistakes were wrong, and it ends up costing the homeowner almost 2.5 times as much than when it originally had been done.
I've had 3 calls in the last week.
Okay.
From that same issue, right? They hired the cheap guy.
Yeah.
And they went ahead with the cheap guy. I can tell you that our prices, and pretty well almost every other contractor in the area, we're going to land the same numbers.
Yeah.
Within a few thousand here or there.
Sure.
It's whether I have more overhead or they have more overhead or whatever works out that way. But we all have our percentages that we work within. And they're all relatively the same. And I know that because I speak to all of them. And we all want to make sure we're in the same market.
Yeah.
Because we're not competing. I mean, I guess you can look at it like we are, but we're not. We're all in the same margin of profits.
Yeah.
And when you get that guy that comes in $50,000 lower, most people should think.
Yeah.
But a lot of people jump.
Of course.
And that's kind of where it happens, right? So we had a basement project. We actually just put a video out on it, the illegal duplex we did in Newcastle.
Okay.
And I had those homeowners come up to me on the job site that we were doing a block over.
Yeah.
And they just walked right up and said, can you help us? We just been stiffed. And, it was an older lady and her daughter. And of course they were trying to make a legal duplex in the basement. And same thing. I asked them what the budget was on the project, and they said he quoted $75,000. My price was $150 for something like that.
Double.
I mean, you're essentially making a home within a home.
Yeah.
So with all the fire codes, the electrical codes, like you can't just put pot lights in a legal duplex. You have to box all these with fire rated boxes.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So when I went in there, it was a mess, but we were able to fix it. So stuff like 2x3s, which aren't structural. They're all finger jointed pine. You can't use that for load bearing stuff. That's what the entire basement was framed out of. So we had to remove all that. And it's unfortunate. Like, I don't like to be that guy. And that's why, I'm not a huge change order guy either. If I could be super upfront with you at the beginning and let you know this is what's going to happen, this is the price, this is how it works, and this is what I'm going to do. Some people come in, with 2-page quotes, mine are 7 to 8, but everything's detailed. When you're getting framing price, you're going to see exactly what's being framed. When you're getting roofing done, you're getting shingles done on the home that we're building or the addition that we're doing. You're going to see exactly what shingles, how many shingles, the warranty of the shingles. You're going to get the warranty package. You're getting the whole 9 in the quote. So when you get 7 pages and the price is $100,000 more, you have more to work off of because you can see exactly what you're getting.
And how big of a difference is that to a homeowner? You got to think, right? Like, you're going in with a proposal that's 9-10 pages. Some guy's coming in with a 1-pager that says $75,000. There's a clear difference in even the branding that you're presenting when you're bringing that to a customer, right? Like, it's exactly like you just said. That customer is now thinking, why is this one contractor's proposal and outline and all of these things outlined the way they are, and why is this guy's outlined like that? It's got to make you think as a homeowner, what are you willing to risk at this point, right? Because like you said,
we just finished an addition in Bowmanville, and it was the same thing. They said they got a quote for, I think it was like $85,000 or something. So I just asked, do you mind showing it to me? And it was just 1 page, addition, 15 by 15.
That's got to be so scary to look at.
So what they said to me was, what am I getting? And I said the same thing. Like, what are you getting? Nobody really knows, right? It's not that they weren't going to get what they wanted. The clients want to see what they're paying for. You can't just give them a 1-line estimate and say 80 grand. Well,
not for that price.
What am I getting? And if it's 8 grand, sure. But 80,000, like, they want to see what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Right? So my quote was then 4 pages of what we're getting.
Yeah.
And just from the quote, that's what sold the job, right? It was like $5,000 more,
Yeah.
but they saw what they were getting for.
And
It just makes them feel more comfortable.
And that's it, man. I think the detailed orientation of the nature of the business that you're in is so, so important, right? Because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're always going to have clients. Some clients that are obviously really good, they appreciate the detailed outline of exactly what you're doing. But, when you have a client, for instance, that when you're doing a project, and you may have had experiences with this. I had a guy tell me this probably a month ago. I was talking to him, and he had a client that essentially was looking over his shoulder for every little bit of the project. And the fact that he's very much like you and had a very detailed oriented like proposal and outline and everything, was able to go to the homeowner at the end of the day and kindly let them know that everything they're doing was fully outlined. He was able to point out what part of the project they were on and what they were doing at that point in time. And not only did it get the client off this guy's back, it also probably made that homeowner more assured that, you know what, James did talk to me about this and we did go over it in detail and I did sign it, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have clients that come at you, and if you don't have those kinds of explanations or processes in play, what's going to end up happening is they're ultimately going to think that you're maybe scamming them or you're not giving them.
There's a lot out there, right?
Well, exactly, right? And it's crazy. You scroll on Facebook, you do any of this stuff. How many times do you see like just these nightmares of stories that are...
Well, Facebook can be your best platform. It can also be your worst, right?
Definitely not something that is worth,
Facebook is almost like the news. How many times do you see good things on it?
Yes.
Right? If there's
Very
kids
well
walking
played.
around the neighborhood past dark, they're on the Facebook page. So you have to really play your way of business properly, and it goes for any business.
Yeah.
And every business is based off trust.
Yeah.
If you don't have trust with the homeowners,
Yeah.
they'll never trust you, and it's just never going to work. And I've been doing this enough years that I can tell as soon as they open the door if this is going to go forward or not.
100%, man. And that having that instinct in itself comes with obviously the experience that you've built up over the years, right? And I want to sort of switch gears for a moment to something we were just talking about, again, like Facebook, right? Like how trustworthy is it? But at the same time, these platforms, when we talk about social branding, for instance, right? How important is that to you guys at DeRosa? Because from what I know, the social branding sort of works its way into that trust as well, right?
Well, social branding is everything. I mean, we haven't been asked for a reference in probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Because we don't really need a reference.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, every step of every
posted.
project, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like everything that we do is on there. So to ask for references, no problem. I'll give you a list of 40 references. You can call them. Every homeowner will let you walk through the job, no problem. Because they're all happy with the product. We've never had one project that they weren't happy with.
Yeah.
And if they aren't happy at any point, we make them happy because that's what we're in business to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if they're not happy, they're not going to pay, so we make them happy, right? And it's just the way of business, but that comes back to trust, right? If they didn't trust you in the beginning, then you either need to sit down and have a conversation and say, this is what we do, right? Like people at your work will trust you to do what you do.
Yeah.
So you have to trust us to do what we do.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah,
Right?
man.
You have a conversation face to face, none of this texting stuff, nothing over email.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's a lot of clients I have that I have to stop the emails, right? No more emails from here on in.
Yeah.
Emails are obviously being misread. I'm telling you what I think. You take that as I'm not being nice.
Yeah.
So let's just stop that.
Yeah.
If you have a problem, call me up.
Yeah.
I'll come over. No problem.
Yeah, man. The barrier in communication sometimes, because the things with text messaging or emails, there's no tone of voice, right? And it's unfortunate. Sometimes people mistake the way that you're saying things, and it's nothing against them personally. It's just that's the way that they're foreseeing it. And you couldn't have said it better, right? If there was something that you took a certain way, then just do me a favor. Pick up the phone, give me a shout so you can hear it in my voice,
Exactly.
what I'm trying to explain to you or talk to you about. And I think that's a huge difference in communication, especially like we just talked about, building trust, right? When you want to build trust with somebody, it doesn't happen by not communicating effectively with them. But when it ends up happening over email and you look at the time on that email stamp and it came in at 12 p.m., 11:30 after somebody had a long day and they read what you said and took it the wrong way.
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
a no-win situation for anybody.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's why, like I say, I don't like to do change orders. But if I have to,
Yeah.
I meet on site with the homeowners. We walk through exactly what the issue is and what we need to do to fix it.
Yep.
And that's not a common practice, and I think it should be more common for contractors
Okay.
and for anyone really. If there's an extra in the job, most of the times I'll eat it
Okay.
because it's just not worth the hassle. If it's a couple $100 for electrician, I'm not worried about it. But if it's in $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, like we just did a basement in a war home that we're working on currently,
Okay.
and we took it out all the walls and demoed the basement,
Yep.
and everything was soaked. So we had to waterproof the inside. So I called the homeowner up. We meet on site. This is your issue. She was floored. Like, I never smelt anything, but they had it all. Somebody that finished the basement knew it was leaking, so they put pool liner down there.
Oh,
that made
God.
it worse. It was terrible.
Oh, man.
But they knew it was happening, but she didn't. So single woman moved into the home,
Oh,
and then
no.
now she's stuck with all the
Costs.
downfalls, right, and all the costs. So you walk her through what needs to happen. This is the price,
Yeah.
and then they feel much more comfortable. So
Yeah.
we've found the issue, we've rectified the issue, and
Yeah.
we've given her the solution. And my biggest motto of business is solutions, not problems. I'm not going to call the homeowner with a bunch of problems and, woe is me, here we go. I'm going to call you with the solution. This is what we need to do. This is how we're going to fix it. Do you want to go ahead with it?
100%.
Would I cover that basement back up not waterproofed? No.
Yeah.
I would have just paid to do it, and I would have moved on.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to finish the basement if it's wet.
Well, how can you?
So would I
right?
have taken on that cost? Absolutely, I would have. I would have
Yeah.
lost a lot of money, but I would have done it because I'm not going to wrap a wet basement,
100%.
right?
No, man. And I think that just goes again to showing people the kind of business that if you're going to have a business and you're going to run a service, you should run it exactly like that. And the reason being is those are the kinds of stories that should be out there more and more, instead of the stories where a guy uncovers a wet basement, he decides it's not going to be worth it anymore. He just leaves the job, takes the person's deposit, and never hears back from them.
And that
he
happens way too much.
And it happens way too much, right? And for new contractors that are out there and are starting a business, I hope this gets to enough people that they understand that there's two ways of doing this kind of business. Exactly like we're sort of talking about it right now, which
It's right or it's not at all,
exactly.
like any business.
And it doesn't matter exactly what kind of business we're in, right? Going the extra mile, answering the phones, responding to your customers on time, not leaving them unanswered or whatever. If it's a phone call or an email or whatever the case is, communication with any project, if anything has gone wrong or gone right, is a time to talk to your customers, right? And I think for our business, right, being a digital marketing company, one of the things that helps separate us from a lot of these bigger companies that are out there is the fact that we are like a boutique style agency. We work closely with the customers that we work with. So before I had started my business, essentially I had worked for these big media groups and these big media companies. And when we'd have a customer and they'd have a problem or website is down or their ads aren't performing or something along those lines, they would call in. They would have a new account manager every 3 to 6 months. They'd call and get voicemails. They looking to get somebody to return their call. Meanwhile, the person who sold them their package doesn't even work there anymore. None of the people, when they signed up for a $5,000 contract, are there anymore. And they're roped into this big contract and all they want to do is talk to somebody. And it's got to be the worst experience in the world. So when we started this and we started working with guys like yourself or other contractors or other businesses, we found that that level of service that guys were looking for, even if we were to run a service and it wasn't to perform as we had expected, I can guarantee you the first thing I would be doing would be getting on the phone with that customer and being like, look, this is what we talked about. And I know it's not performing the best. This is why it's not performing the best. This is what we got to do over the next 2 to 3 weeks. If it's not working, then let's figure out a game plan or roadmap to go from here, which may be ending the contract or not doing that kind of service or whatever the case is, right?
Yep, solutions, not problems.
Exactly, man. So when it comes to business, like you said, I think there's a lot of stuff that you can learn as a new business owner trying to get out there. And it's not always about making the most amount of money that you can, right? And yes, that is a huge part of it. But at the same token, when you don't focus on that and you focus on helping your customers because you got involved with them and you started a relationship with them, it's your job to see it through, right?
Yeah. It's not all about money.
It's not.
It's if you're in business for money, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
If you're in business to make people happy and change their lives, that's when you start to excel. Right? I'd rather do 10 jobs for $5,000 than 2 of them for 25. Right? If I'm having
100%.
10 people talking about me, it's better than the 2 that I did the bigger money for.
Yeah,
right?
man.
And you just, that's how you get your name out. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't do good work and we didn't have the word of mouth. Right? Like on Facebook all the time, you'll see someone post, they need a contractor. Yeah. And there's people in there that I've done work for 5 years ago that are commenting our business.
Yeah.
Right? And that's huge because it's people that, we aren't directly tied with. We did work for them, but they're now recommending us to other people in the community. And that's kind of why we've been able to stay so local, which is nice too. Yeah. We don't have to drive super far. Good for me. It's good for the guys. Yeah. We're able to get more work done in a shorter amount of time because we're not spending 4 hours on the road.
Yeah, man. And just speaking of that too, like going beyond the jobs and stuff like that, you guys also do a big toy drive and food drive over the holidays, right? You want to talk about?
We're all about giving back.
Yeah, man. Talk a little bit about that stuff.
I'll give back, and anytime I can. It's the community does so much for us, and if we can just put back a little bit of that into the community, it helps go a long way. So we're on our 3rd annual food drive. We'll be coming up on our 4th here for Christmas this year.
It's awesome.
Last year, I think we did 6,600 pounds of food. Yeah. And I think it was upwards of $4,000 in money.
Nice.
So, and that's huge for a local food bank. I mean, I think it's went up about 55%, people using food banks this year. Yeah. Something crazy like that. And everything's going up and times are getting hard for people. So
it is, man.
If we can excel the business and we can give back more, I don't mind giving back at all.
Yeah, man. No, honestly, I got to say for myself personally, watching you do that as a business owner and a new business owner was really just something that for me was motivating. As another business owner living in another part of Ontario, I saw that the first year and was like, that's a great idea. And for me, one of the things that I do is I actually sponsor and I coach a local hockey team in the area I live. So me having that team was my way of sort of giving back to my community to reach out and sort of help kids the way that I was helped when I was younger and got to play hockey and stuff like that. But after I saw your food drive and your toy drive that you did, I was like, hey man, I got like a team here. And I took them this year and last year and we went to Walmart, we got a bunch of toys and we went to the local place just similar to you guys, and we did a bunch of donations. And one of the things that I really liked about what you guys did was when I saw another business owner doing something like that and that triggered something in me, that helped me see that it's not only a chain reaction between networks, but it's something that we could pass along to other business owners, to kids in the community, to families that need that kind of help during that time. That, like we said, the cost of food, the cost of toys, the cost of all of this stuff, unfortunately, has just hit an all-time max. Yeah. And as business owners, whether you work for a big company that's going to give you time off to actually volunteer or have some sort of mission, it's very rare you'll see a big company say, hey guys, we're going to take a day off and go to a local food bank and do something like this for our customers, for our community, to give back. And starting a small business and being like, well, I'm in control. Other businesses are doing this. Other businesses are getting together and doing this. This is a great thing for business owners. This is a great thing for community. This is a great thing for other people to catch on to and say, hey, that's a great idea. We should do something like that. And the more people that do stuff like that, and I do think the good side of me thinks that stuff is catching on.
I hope it does. I mean, we went from, I think, 3 or 4 companies last year to about 13 this year.
Which in itself, right?
Just to round up, 13 companies in the area, all local guys, contractors, whoever wanted to. Yeah. And kind of getting all that money together. At the end of the day, the more people we can get, the more money we can give, right? This year we
100%.
added toys too, so we dropped off, it was like a pickup truck full of toys at the Durham region toy drive. So, I mean, that was cool too, right?
It's awesome.
It's wherever we can give back, we're going to give back. It's what I'm about.
Yeah, man.
And I tried to bring that, to everyone else. And I feel like I've set something in the community because I
Yeah.
now see a lot more people trying to do food drives and
Yeah.
toy drives, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love that, we're trying to give back to the less fortunate.
Yeah.
To say I wasn't, broke before is a lie.
Yeah.
And to come from that, to where I am now, and then the business is, we're excelling and we're doing good.
Yeah.
And I think that's from kind of where I was.
Yeah.
And almost, I don't want to say fear, but the fear of going back.
Sure, man.
You don't want to go back there. You want to learn from your mistakes. And you want
Yeah.
to progress forward. So
That's it.
for us to give back, I mean, we also had like when the teachers, I believe it was the teachers or the ECEs were on strike.
Yeah, they were on strike.
I showed up with 15 cases of water and some
Oh yeah,
coffee.
I saw
and
that.
We just dropped it off. But
Yeah.
whatever we can do to help, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a couple $100 is huge for some people that are trying to protect what they stand for, right?
Yeah, man. And any kind of causes like that, right? Like teachers, super important. Community, super important.
Yep.
As businesses, we definitely have our own set of responsibilities that I think that come with it. And it's not, like we talked about, just about making money or having the most customers or doing the best in your area or anything, right? And I think what ends up happening are guys end up focusing too much sometimes on the wrong thing. And when you focus more on just what makes you happy getting out of bed that day, knowing that you're doing something good and able to help people that are actually needing your service or your expertise or anything, right? I think that in itself is so rewarding that you can't really get from a job.
Exactly.
And it's definitely one of these things where it's hard to explain, because until you sort of go through something like that, until you're able to really experience that for yourself for the first time, but then again the second time, and then the third and fourth time, it's not a feeling that gets like old,
Yeah.
right? It only grows
It's
with
a good
you.
feeling every time, right?
Yeah, man.
And you just have to love to do it. I think that's the big thing too, right? If you're going to,
Yeah.
we tried to bring out some games and stuff. So, we got the local rental center and they donated a bunch of games. So
Oh, that's cool.
The kids that came out, they were able to play basketball and ring toss
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that
right
stuff.
on.
We got the local coffee shop, Starbucks, to come out and they brought some coffee.
Yeah.
Boston Pizza, I believe, donated a bunch of pizzas for
Yeah.
everyone to eat. Like it was pretty cool to kind of hit the community that way.
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of sees what we're doing. And then more people reached out after we put out the invitation
Yeah.
to also help with the food drive. So
Yeah.
we went out to, I think it was 15 people. I think by the end of it with donations, I think we were at like 25 people that kind of pitched in for the event.
That's awesome, man.
So, if we can go from, 3 businesses to 15, I'm hoping next year it's 30.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want to double it every year.
Yeah.
And if we can give more back,
Yeah.
it's just more we can do.
Well, that's it, man. I can definitely see that event snowballing, to say the least, into this event that it's like, is it in Clarington or is it in?
It's in Clarington.
It's in
yeah.
Clarington, right? It was right
Yeah.
at the rink there.
Yeah.
Like where, from what it was now, imagine just it turns into the fair
Yeah,
of
and
that
that's-
time of year.
that's the
right?
plan,
the
right?
Christmas Clarington, toy drive, food drive thing where everybody is coming. That's something that people are looking forward to. Like, and it has the potential to definitely be that. And even if it's not,
It'll get there.
it'll get there, man. And the impact that it does make, I can guarantee you, for whatever kid is opening that gift or whatever family gets to have a turkey dinner, that in itself just goes miles,
Yeah.
right? So I commend you on that, man. I think that was just a stellar thing to watch. A friend, a client, somebody who, really, really just obviously knows what you're doing, right?
Yeah.